these. Get these. Okay, so let me tell you a sad story. For years, Kay told me, get a pair of coveralls. And I just didn't do it for years. And honestly, that was so stupid of me. So I wear my pajamas. I just throw my coveralls on. I go out and do the barn chores. It keeps my regular clothes from getting worn out, from getting dirty. It keeps me really warm. And when I'm done, I just walk inside, pop the coveralls off, and I get to stay in my pajamas. It's one of those things that I wish I did sooner, because honestly, my homesteading journey has been filled with just disappointment that could have been avoided if somebody would have let me know sooner, hey, by the way. And that's what this video is all about. The next things I'm gonna tell you are a lot darker, more disappointing facts of homesteading that I think you should know now, and I want to tell as many people as possible. This episode of Homesteady is all about helping you avoid making mistakes and being disappointed by homesteading. And that is what Backwoods Home and Self-Reliant Magazine are all about. They are a sponsor of Homesteady. Speaking of helping you avoid making mistakes, in the spring issue of Self-Reliance Magazine, there's an article about foraging, and they talk about wild onions. Did you know you can make a big mistake when foraging wild onions? There's a lookalike that's very poisonous. I did not know this. Backwoods Home, always looking out, helping you avoid making mistakes, little ones and big ones. Check that out in this spring issue about spring foraging. We have a 50% discount code for Backwoods Home and Self-Reliant Magazine in the description below. Get off your phone, slow down, do some reading, and avoid making big mistakes. Backwoods Home is full of great advice. Check them out. So 2 more things that I really wish I knew way sooner in my homesteading journey that have been a plague, been something that's just been really disappointing. The first one, honestly, I was set up for failure pretty much the day I decided to start this homesteading thing 15 years ago. 15 years ago, we found out we were going to be having a baby boy, and that's kind of where our homesteading journey began. When we found out we were going to be parents, Kay and I were living a very different lifestyle. We were in a 3rd-story apartment. We got fast food takeout all the time. We didn't really care where we got our food from. We didn't care about any of that stuff that, you know, brings you to this homesteading world. But once we found out, like, Junior was coming along, well, things got to be more complicated. All right, guineas, all right. Thinking about, it's just so noisy all over this farm. I gotta find a quiet place to sit down and talk here. So, we started thinking about feeding our baby boy, and we wanted to feed him better quality food. And we wanted to be raised on a small farm. We wanted to have natural, back to basics, good food. We started looking at shopping at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and that was really expensive, and everything was so expensive. And the thing that you kind of say to yourself is like, you know what we could do? Instead of going and buying it, we could just raise it ourselves. And we started very early on. I became a hunter and Kay became a gardener, just because it was like, you know what? We can save some money if we do this ourselves. This will be good for us financially. And right away with hunting, there should have been like some warning flags. I started off as a hunter. I started off bow hunting, and just to give you an idea, like a brand new bow that you go out and hunt with starts at $500, maybe it's $1,000. That first year, that first investment, I think I spent all in all close to $1,000, and I got 0 deer. So there was $1,000 spent for nothing put in my freezer. But I knew, you know what, in time, this will pay off. In time, once I actually get good at this, I'll get a deer and I'll wind up saving money. And sure enough, the next year I was a lot more successful with hunting. The next year I put 4 deer in the freezer. 200 pounds of meat for $1,000 investment. It's about $5 per pound for like organic premium quality meat. So right there, I actually did start saving money. And there you go. It was like, all right, we're doing this. We're able to do this. And that's when we decided, let's take this another step further and let's start getting some livestock. Egg-laying chickens are one of the absolute worst financial decisions I think anyone can make on a homestead. You will never save money. You will never make money. And I know I'll be challenged in the comments section. People say you're crazy. I save all kinds of money. I make all kinds of money. Here's the thing about egg-laying chickens. When you give it a really hard look, we've done this many times with accountant Mike. We all in the shot there? Those of you longtime fans of the show, some of you have been wondering, who is this guy who's been hanging out in the last few videos?
I don't know.
This is my best friend from high school. And after high school, he was the best man in my wedding, accountant Mike. So today we got accountant Mike here to teach some basic business principles to my son, CEO. He's also going to be
Chief
teaching
Egg Officer, CEO.
That's pretty good. We should make a new Homesteady shirt.
We should.
This video is going to help you with pricing any products from your own farm. So we're going to dive into the Bluebird Egg Company, figure out how to price these eggs, because this guy's been selling eggs. Well, what do you think? What's your gut tell? When you really look at all your expenses, not just the price of feed and the chickens.
What I want to do with you is I want to take some time, figure out how much all of your inputs cost, right? And then figure out this is the total cost of the product, and therefore how much do we need to sell it for? Does that make sense?
Yep. So these are some of my chickens.
All right.
Yep.
The price of the energy to run your heat lamps as you're raising your chicks, the amortized cost of the coop over time, the cost that you have associated with owning a farm, your property taxes, your expenses there, your time, what that is worth, shavings, egg cartons. Are you putting your eggs in egg cartons? Are you getting them for free? How much does that cost you?
So how much do you sell those eggs for?
For here, maybe like $3.
$3?
Yep.
$3 a dozen?
Yeah. Thanks.
Was it worth it?
Yep.
Okay. We'll see if it actually was in a minute.
Good job, buddy. All right, now, when you start to zoom out, not just your weekly expenses for feed, but you zoom out and you look at all the expenses associated with egg-laying chickens, you will quickly realize that you're not charging enough money for them to actually be profitable.
So I did a bunch of math using all the figures we gathered just a few minutes ago. So we've talked about a bunch of numbers. What does this all mean?
I don't know.
That's okay, I'll tell you. Today, you collected 13 eggs.
Yep.
We calculated that it cost you a little bit more than $2 in feed, and we calculated it cost you a little more than 22 cents in hay. Now you collected 13 eggs, which is more than you need for this dozen. So if we run all of those numbers through this formula that we created here, and we add in your overhead costs, such as the cost to replace this chicken, we come to a final margin cost to produce 1 dozen eggs of, do you want to guess what the number is?
I don't know.
We did all the math. It's actually costing you $2.62 to produce that dozen eggs. So I bought this dozen eggs from you for $3, and you now know that it cost you about $2.62 to produce it. Was it worth it?
Yes.
Okay. So as we've just learned, our chief egg officer here is selling these dozen eggs for $3. It cost him about $2.62, which means he's looking at about 38 cents of profit out of each dozen eggs. To me, I would prefer to see a little bit of a higher margin, which means earning a little more profit on each set of dozen eggs.
Right.
If your market can support it, I would love to see you sell these eggs for $3.50, or maybe even a little bit more. This is where you're going to need to go do some research. Find out what other local egg producers are selling for. If they're selling for $3.50 or $4, I think you need to bump your prices up. Well, thanks for taking the time with me today, man. I like your little operation. I think you're doing a great job, okay? All right, well, bye, I guess.
You're not charging enough money for them to actually be profitable, and someone near you is selling them for less. It is always better to find someone closer to you who is selling farm fresh eggs for like a couple bucks less than you would have to charge, and just buy it from them. And maybe that sounds like you're taking advantage of them. But the point is, egg-laying chickens, financially, never a smart decision. Farm fresh eggs is an example, but let's actually go to the dairy cow, right? We have dairy cows, and we really love our dairy cows. Don't get me wrong, we love our cows. We love the farm fresh milk that you get. The product is incredible. I like rotationally grazing the cows. They're an amazing creature. Do they save you money? Well, hello everybody. Hi, how you doing? Everybody's wondering why I'm visiting. We love our dairy cows. This is Honeybee, she's in milk right now, and man, she is just giving us the most amazing quality milk. It is delicious. It is full of wonderful cream. The cream lines on her milk are huge. We drink tons of milk every day. We make chocolate milk, we can make ice cream, we use it in cooking. Kay's done cheeses in the past and yogurts, all kinds of stuff. We make butter. It's great. Farm fresh milk's incredible. But does a dairy cow actually save you any money? We did a video all about, does a dairy cow save you money?
Can you save money by owning a family milk cow? We've been doing it for 6 years. I've got all my numbers here. Let's see.
We actually did a poll of our audience, you all out there on Instagram and on YouTube, for all the people who own cows. Do they save money on cows or not save money on cows? And I think you're going to be shocked to hear, out of the 200 people, how many say they didn't save money on their cow. But we'll get to that in a little bit. First, our cow. Let's talk cow startup costs. $3,000. That's what she cost.
No, not quite.
No?
25 maybe? I think it was, I want to say like 27, but maybe with shipping.
Price is Right rules?
And how did we afford that? Because we were very broke.
We were. That was a huge cost to us. So what we did to kind of balance out the cost of Ladybug, we built the barn that she was going to go in out of our own lumber from our homestead. We cut down the trees, milled it, brought it to a
When
local
he says
mill.
we, he means he did.
It was a lot of sweat equity, but it was a really cool way to save money. So that offset the cost. Whereas you
can buy a small 3-sided shed from an Amish builder.
And you could probably find a cheaper cow than what we did.
Yeah, so we're trying to give averages here. I'd say if you can get in, if you get your cow, your startup costs can be around $2,000.
Which, if you go over an 8-year period and then divide that into 52 weeks per year, your weekly expense for cow startup cost could be somewhere around $5 a week for owning your milk cow. Okay, there's a lot of costs associated with keeping a family milk cow. The first and probably biggest is feed. Good. Calculator time. What?
You're so over the top.
I'm excited about a calculator.
So for feed, it was $1,889.
Yep.
Add to that for health was $540. Equals what?
$2,429 divided by 52 weeks. Add the $5 a week in amortized cost.
Okay, so add
We're
that
looking
five
at
is-
$50 a week to keep your average family milk cow. Don't save money on a family milk cow. We looked at the amount of money your typical family spends, and even our family spends on dairy, versus the amount of money that you spend on average a week on your dairy cow amortized over a year with all kinds of things factored in. And overall, not only us, but most homesteads that we included in this video, no, dairy cow does not save you money. We are not alone in this. Let's get to the poll numbers. We asked our audience on Instagram and YouTube who owned a family cow if they thought it saved them money or if it didn't save them money, but they loved their cow anyways. Before I give you the poll results, if this video has been helpful to you so far, consider hitting the like button, letting us know that you do like this kind of video, and that will let us decide whether or not we make more in the future. Now, on to our poll results. Based off the results of our poll, out of 232 answers, 136 people, or just about 60% of the cow owners, said that their cow did not save them money, but they love her anyway. The other interesting thing to note from the poll, of the 40% of the people who said they did save money from their cow, half of those did that through some sort of money earning, a business. So if you're just looking to save money and not start a business, only 2 out of every 10 cow owners reported that they saved money without doing any additional business from their homestead. Will you save money on your cow? You have about a 20% chance of making that happen. So what do you do? If it's really hard to save money, then you have to ask yourself, can I actually make this earn money to cover the expense? And yeah, you can. You can make money homesteading. She factors in all the costs of her homestead, everything she's doing, and the money she's earning. She's actually profiting about 30%, which is fantastic. I have been interviewing people on Homesteady for a decade. Hi, Blue. And I have been looking really hard into this topic for a decade. Can you make money homesteading? And we're actually doing a study on this right now. If you're making money from your homestead and you're doing a good job, please, $30,000. Click the link there, go fill out our form. You'll be included in our study. You might be the subject of a future Homesteady video like we've been doing in this series. There are people who are making great money from their homesteads and who are covering the cost of their animals and far exceeding it, like doing fantastic. It is very, very possible.
We have been so successful in the soap business in conjunction with the AdSense money from the YouTube channel that at the end of this month, I don't have to drive into town an hour each way to go work 50, 60 hours a week anymore. I will be able to replace my income.
Snowball.
The snowball. Building the snowball, yeah.
But here's what I've also learned being in the homesteading world for 15 years, trying myself in many different ways to make money homesteading. It's really, really hard. It takes such a unique set of skills, so much knowledge in marketing and sales, so much drive and determination. You can do it. And I'll have a video that you should watch at the end of this one. I'll have a link at the end of this video with some great advice on how to actually earn money. But it's not easy. So for the last 15 years, I have been trying to save money as a homesteader, and that didn't work. And I have been trying to earn money as a homesteader, and I have figured out how to do it. We make a full-time living from our homestead, and I've seen a lot of people who also have done that. But it took a lot of work. It took a lot of different failed attempts. It's really hard. We got into homesteading because we needed to save money. And there's always the hope on the horizon that you will. There's always that promise, that hope, like we just need to do this initial investment. But the fact is, when you are working with something as complicated as agriculture is, livestock, animals, weather,
the cost of feed, the cost of fuel, the cost of the taxes for your homestead, for your farm,
things breaking, things getting ruined, animals getting sick, animals getting eaten by predators,
animals just dropping dead and you don't have a clue why.
If you are looking to homestead to help you financially, you need to understand that for a long time, years and years and years as you start up, homesteading can be incredibly financially draining. Now there's other reasons to have egg-laying chickens and there's other reasons to homestead. But I wish someone had told me early on, sat me down and said, Ost, here, take a seat. Ost, look at me, right here, right? Homesteading can be incredibly financially draining. You're not gonna save money and it's really hard to make money. So instead of counting on it every year to save you some money. The much smarter thing to do, get yourself in a position financially where you do not need homesteading to save you any money. Where you can learn, make the mistakes without the financial pressure on you. Then, with the knowledge and without that pressure, over time, you can figure out how to make it a side hustle that earns you some money or even more. But the key is, don't start homesteading broke. At least not at any kind of scale that will make your financial situation worse. So if you're already broke and you're like, you know, we'll raise our own animals for meat and that'll save us money on meat. Don't. Figure out how to get yourself out of debt. Figure out how to not be broke. Take a side job doing something that just pays you right away. Financially get yourself in a better situation. I always tell people to just start, so I'm not going to say don't do anything, but just don't do anything that requires a big financial investment. So if you're broke and you want to start homesteading, you know, grow a little garden, just a couple seeds, grow a few plants, get a couple chickens. If you can swing the coop and a couple chickens, that's okay too. But don't scale thinking, well, this will save us a bunch of money, because if it will be so long before it saves you money, it will hurt you before it helps you. And if you're already in a place where you can't be hurt, it's gonna ruin you. That's my second big advice. And actually, it's not the darkest, deepest bit of advice I have to share. The third thing I think I'm only realizing later in my journey, and it is sadder, but I want you to know about it. I want you to be ready for it. Before we talk about that, ooh, it's so bright out. Let's talk about the reason that I'm sharing this. It's a little bit of a depressing topic today. The reason I'm sharing it is because whenever we talk about our mistakes homesteading, it's always with the idea that you can avoid the trouble and the mistakes yourself if you decide to do this. I'll take the pups for a walk today. Come on, pups. Hey, Bo. Good boy. Good boy. Hip up. Hip up. Hip up. Good girl. Oh, oh. All kinds of dirty. Poppy. I want to encourage anybody watching who has a YouTube channel, tell us, do this video, make the same video. You can call it the same thing. Tell us the same thing. 3 things. First one, make it practical. Change our world. Tell us about the best pair of homesteading boots or a tool you wish you knew about sooner, something that'll help us right away. And then number two is a wild card. Share whatever you want. Number 3, tell us about a deep, dark, sad truth about homesteading that you've learned doing it. The more people that make this video, the more we're all gonna be helped to not be disappointed by our ideals, to accept the reality that is homesteading for good and for bad. Woo! This hill's beating me today. Here's what I'm gonna do. If you make that video, comment below, share the link to it. Tell me that you made that video, share a link in the comments below. I'm gonna make a playlist at the end of this video, and I'm gonna add you to that playlist. You're gonna have thousands and thousands of Homesteady audience coming to check out your video. More importantly than that, you're gonna be helping thousands and thousands of people have a very realistic expectation of what they're getting themselves into, which is what we try to do a lot here at Homesteady, is give you a realistic expectation of homesteading. Because don't get me wrong, I love it. I love this lifestyle. I love working with animals, walking up hills. When you start dating somebody that you think you really like, the whole idea is to like get to know who they really are, right? And whether or not you develop some kind of long-term relationship is kind of based off knowing who they really are. They might look awesome. When I met Kay, she was smoking. Still is smoking. But I needed to know, like, all I know is that she's smoking hot. What else is there? Are we gonna work together long term? And when you get to know somebody while you're dating them in the beginning, right, you get to know the good and the bad. And then you accept the good and the bad. You say, well, I love the good, I'll take the bad. Homesteading is no different than anything in life, right? There's good and there's bad. And I love the good. I love working with the animals, having this amazing quality food, I like getting out of the office and getting some good hard work into my day. I like all the skills I've learned over time. I've learned how to raise livestock and plant plants and butcher, cure and smoke meat. I've learned how to train a cow to be milked and train a dog to retrieve, and like I've done so much, and I don't want to be a total downer, but it's good to know the good and the bad before you really dive in and commit your life to something. And that's the point of this video and this playlist. So let's get into the third one, and actually the most depressing one of all. And I gotta find a place where it's not windy because it's just too windy to film over here. This is it's a windy day. I'll go in this little shed over here, I think. If you met me, oh, easy Bobo. If you met me before I was off from Homesteady, like we're talking before I even had kids, most likely you would have known me as Ost, the guitar playing surfer dude. I started playing guitar at age 12, and at age 12 and a half I was in a band. It wasn't a very good band, but it was a band. It was legit. Glowing Sushi, that was my first band. There was Noise in the Attic. We played a few shows. And then I was in a band called Veronica Drive. We wrote some good stuff. We even went to a recording studio one time and recorded some singles. And after that I was in a group called Big Breakfast, which that was just goofy. And then I was in an acoustic duo called Not Quite Bobby. And technically I've never broken up with Not Quite Bobby. Me and, believe it or not, Accountant Mike. We have a whole album actually, and you can even buy it. I'll put a link right there if you want to buy our album. It's really good, actually. I'm super proud of our music. I'll play something in this so you can hear a little of it. A long road lay ahead, and sojourners don't stay in bed long. We don't have pen or paper to write this down, so we put it in a song. And then my forefathers told your forefathers where to shove it. They didn't quite get along. Now I'll head down this open road. I know the way back, but I think I'll stick around this time. Maybe I'll be found this time. And he used to do shows. We used to do concerts and go do shows and play around campfires and stuff. And I was a surfer. We used to go to the beach and play guitar and go surfing. And that life, what's the word I'm looking for here? That was a very, it was a very social life. I was young and single, and I had time to, you know, drive around and travel and do stuff and play music and do shows and go to the beach and go surfing. And it's a very social life. There's people and friends. I had great friends that I would travel with and surf with and play music with. Yeah, it was a nice time in my life, and a very happy time in my life. I didn't even think of this when I was working on this video, when I was trying to think about like what would I want to tell people. I was talking with John Siskovich. I keep shouting Johnny out, but we talk a lot and we get a lot of good ideas from each other. And John from Farm Marketing Solutions, we were talking about what do people need to understand about homesteading that they don't realize. And he said it can be lonely. And that hit. Oh man, when he said that, I was like, man, because I have been feeling that this last year or two of my life. I have realized like, wow, this lifestyle that I've built has been very isolating. Now, I'm very fortunate. I have my best friend who's with me every day, having our family together, doing everything we do, me and Kay, and I have my kids who it's wonderful, and I have a bunch of them. So I'm very fortunate. When I look at like friendships and that sort of thing, I've realized this lifestyle can make it very hard to have family and friend relationships with any kind of depth beyond your own household, because it is so different from our normal life. Most of us who homestead also have some kind of career job that we have to take care of. So our homesteading starts early in the morning, and then we go do our career, our job. So I go and do my chores in the morning, and then I'm inside on my office and I'm working at my desk all throughout the day. And then in the evening there's work to be done. And the more you scale your homestead and the more you provide for your family, and you have watched on this channel as we have grown from just having chickens to producing all our family's meat and more, we've become huge. Dairy, meat, eggs, gardens. It is such an all-encompassing thing. And I think I started to realize this a couple years ago. Accountant Mike, who's my good old friend, was out visiting. And while he was here visiting the farm with his family, the farm was so big and there was so much work to do that I hardly spent much time enjoying my friend's visit. Instead, I was running around like a madman trying to contain pigs who had escaped and chase rabbits that had got out of the rabbit enclosure and feed all the animals, and I was just like a mess. And I remember at the end, me and him hanging out having a beer and talking, and him just being like, you got a lot going on here. And it made me realize then, like, oh man, yeah, I do. I'm not really enjoying this time with my friend. But then the last couple of years since then, I've been just paying attention to, as you grow and as you scale, this can be all consuming. And you know, most people don't want to spend the weekend butchering chickens with you. There's the weird ones out there. You're here watching, right? You'd love to come and spend the weekend butchering chickens with me. But most people in your circle, your family and friends probably don't. You're so busy with this that extra stuff goes, and you can find yourself kind of isolated and kind of alone. In this mission to feed yourself and your family, you can pick your head up one day and say, like, where'd all my friends go? Well, Poppy ran off. I gotta see, she's probably getting into the chicken coop and gonna kill all my chickens. When we moved to the family farm that we're on now, I moved far away from all my personal friends and family. I realized I just had no extra time to like make any new friends. I'm so busy with my family, my business, and then my farm in the spare hours and in the weekends. And like, for most of the time, if you're looking to make a new friend, like, hey, you want to come kill some chickens this weekend? Usually doesn't work. If you got one who it worked with, awesome. They're good, keep them. And send them home with plenty of chicken. And as I get older, and my older friends and my life kind of drifts in different directions, and we see each other far less, I find myself socially, isolated, lonely. When you lead your life down a path towards self-sufficiency, you can find yourself very sufficient, but also very isolated. Self-sufficiency can be a path to isolation. And that's why I think more and more you're seeing more people trying to focus on the community element. And community building means taking time away from the production on your little piece of earth and helping other people, teaching others, doing other things with other people, you know, taking the weekend and not butchering animals for once. But it's an incredibly important part, I think, of life as a whole. And it's something that going forward, I'm going to scale back in how much production and how many things I'm raising at one time. So I have more time to spend with my wife and my kids, who are number one priority, but also hopefully make some new friends and enjoy other parts of life. Like, for example, I've picked up my guitar again for the first time in a long time. This last year or so, I've been playing more guitar and trying to, just be more than just self-sufficient. I think that's something that I wish someone had warned me about early on and said, you know what, don't focus quite so much on growing everything. Learn, get the skills, grow a lot of things, but focus on other areas that are important in life too. So as you begin down a path of self-sufficiency, or you continue down it, just remember, self-sufficiency is a good thing, but community building is also important too. And while you're trying to take care of yourself and your closest, don't forget there's other people out there and other relationships that are very important in your life. This is a after. I actually thought about, this is an epilogue. I finished filming that video and then I was thinking about something that I learned recently, and I wanted to put this at the end. I recently was watching something on something, and they were talking about how as you get older, you do become more socially isolated just by the nature of life. They were talking about how when you have a family to care for, you have your job, your career, you just have less time to give towards different friendships, and those friends that you were friends with also have less time, and you start naturally to drift apart, and it's nobody's fault, it's just life. And I was thinking about it after I made that video, and I thought, you know what, it's not really just homesteading, it's like everybody growing up, right? As you grow up, you just wind up losing touch with the friends and not having time to make new ones. And I guess it's probably just whatever you're spending your time professionally doing can wind up causing that. So I think maybe the solution isn't so much, maybe we all have to stop and ask ourselves, what can we do to bring that back? And with homesteading, what could you do to create more social connections and to bring people back into your life? And maybe that's events on your homestead. I'm going to make it a goal this year, just like I make goals with my business. I'm going to make a new friend. Sounds super cheesy. Let's make a new friend today. But I have to free up some time in my life to go do some things that other people are doing and that I can enjoy, that isn't like, hey, want to kill a chicken this weekend? And maybe once I make a new friend, I'll have someone to help me on Chicken Butcher Day. Poor sucker. So anyway, if you're in that position too and you're not a homesteader and you're watching, you're thinking like, hey, me too. Well, yeah, let's all do it. Let's just here make a new friend. So
let's try this. It's not going to be as easy as I was hoping. Just going to hold it. Oz from Homesteady said to make a video about 3 hard truths that I wish we had known before we started homesteading.
If you do have a YouTube channel, make this exact video your 3 things. Something practical, wild card, and then give us a deep, dark truth that you've learned doing this a long time or a short time.
We had a lot of loss, a lot of hard lessons. You know, hundreds and hundreds of pounds of beef I'm taking into the freezer, and Juneberry's like my buddy, you know, and so she came up to the fence to see as I'm literally like carrying in like the carcass of her son. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
All those videos you're gonna find in this playlist. This playlist could change your life. So click here to watch it. I'm gonna be watching all the videos that get put in this playlist. Take a look, see the advice from our whole community. If you don't have a YouTube channel, but you do have some things that you wish someone would have told you, comment them below.
I don't always catch it. You're not always gonna catch it, so you're gonna have to learn how to deal with it. And it can be devastating.
How much it's gonna help all of us as we continue forward in this homestead journey with the good, the bad, everything that homesteading is, and also help us all kind of form more of a community with each other, because that's really powerful too. And it's one of the nice things about doing Homesteady is how many of you out there are part of our community.
The first one was an unfortunate and very expensive lesson. I'll show you what it is. Hang on.